Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Boss Talks, and I am on the line with the amazing Kristine Drummond, who is the co-founder of JK Connect, and we are coming pretty much fresh off the back of our latest event, and it was a great success, and we had a ton of fun doing it. So just like that event, this podcast is just our way of helping share our knowledge so you can be the boss of your life. We really want you to take the reins of your life. There is no excuse in this day and age to not be living a masterpiece life. The information is there. And listen, if you want to be part of the solution, share this podcast, pay the fee. If you're new to the podcast, welcome for the first time. There is a fee. We need you to share this out to someone who needs to hear it. We need you to share it out to even some people that think they don't need to hear it. Share it out. Leave a comment. Give us a 5-star if you believe we're a 5-star. Give us a 1-star if you think we need to improve. Whatever it is, we just need to get the word out there. So, what are we talking about today? Today is about leadership. Now, a really wise mentor of mine, Scott DeMullen, when I recently spoke to him, at an event, he said, Joel, you rise higher if you lift as you go. And for me, that really just spelled out leadership for me. I see people like him that could be just making so much more money, and they have in the past, coming back to make the community and the world and, a better place. So he told me that, and it really stuck with me. And I feel like Kristine and I walk our talk. We don't blame, we don't justify, we don't shame, we don't tear other people down when we make a mistake to justify why we messed up or why something didn't happen. And I really believe that at the front of every personal development book or every lecture, there should be something saying, take bloody responsibility, because it's the secret to success. It's one of the keys, at least. So I'll stop battling, but Kristine, come in, welcome again.
Thank you. And it's not as fresh as our last podcast we did last week, which was straight after our workshop. Oh my gosh. I don't know how we got that podcast out. But yeah, thank you to the listeners for all the comments and the support that we're getting. It's absolutely amazing. Today we are talking about leadership, and I got fired up before we even started the podcast today, because I feel like people need to wake the fuck up, really, when it comes to leadership, because what we're seeing out there, and I'm sorry for cursing, but I'm just sick of people talking and then not performing, or saying they want something and then going in the totally opposite direction with the actions that they take in order to get what it is that they desire, and I'm also really sick of people saying something and then vibrating so low, having the lack of confidence, moping around, blaming other people, and then lowering everybody else's vibration to match yours. And I just really feel like the first level of leadership is to lead yourself. If you can't lead yourself, then you're in trouble, honestly. And I was saying this to Joel the other day, I've never heard Joel ever blame anyone for anything that's happened with his business or his personal life or work life or whatever. And we don't do negativity, and we are very good at taking responsibility when we have screwed up, and we have screwed up a little bit along this journey, and it's a learning curve. And we are first to give each other constructive feedback on how can we be better, how can we improve, So the first level of leadership is to lead yourself first, and that's by being the example. And I know that's been thrown out a lot, but are you taking it seriously? And Joel, to help the listeners really get a handle of this, when I'm still a personal trainer, but I just don't train anyone anymore because my other businesses have blown up and I've got way more flexibility than you guys out there that want to train at 5:30 every morning. I don't want to train people at 5:30 every morning. But I never gave a session to my clients that I didn't do first myself. Okay. And we did some really tough sessions, and I'm not one of those trainers that is sitting there on the table barking orders like to clients when they're just sitting there on their phone, you know, and I just see that as poor leadership. First, when you lead yourself and you walk the talk and you lead by example, then you can lead a group. That's the next level of leadership. You can lead a group. And then the third level of leadership is leading a community. What can you do in your community to influence people, to influence change, to make the community a better place, a more positive place? And then the last level of leadership is leading the world. You know, how can you be an influencer? How can you get other people in the world to capture your vision? And that's one of the traits of a good leader, Joel, is to have vision and to be able to create a vision that you create massive following because other people want that same vision. So that's a little bit about how I go about, especially as a trainer, but I'll talk a little bit more about in other areas of our life, how we show up in the example. But am I on the right track here, Joel? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I just, you know, when I was leading, I would have been over 65 staff, you know, you got to be willing to, you know, get in the trenches with them. And I think that's where I learned how to be as effective as a coach as I am, because you'll see in my presenting that like my story isn't ever off limits. You know what I mean? I share how I've made mistakes, how I've actually applied what I'm teaching. I'm not just like going to an event and regurgitating someone else's stuff. You know, like I could have told a lot of stories that I've heard from people like Scott DeMorland and Kirik Ashley, except they're not my stories. That, you know, there'd be no connection. It would just be me teaching, getting on a soapbox and not actually leading by example, you know. But when you tell your own stories, and this is why I believe like everyone's got a gift to help people with, you know, and it really does start with responsibility and really just owning your shit, you know. And I think that's what people are frightened of. They're frightened of, you know, owning their shit because they think it'll make them look weak. And it's a big problem for men. Men's like biggest fear is that they're going to be perceived as weak. So when you find, you know, someone who's like got some maturity, hopefully sometimes, you know, they can step up and go, right, I made a mistake and take responsibility. That's when leadership comes through. And like really, like, you know, we speak about Andy Frisella a lot. Andy Frisella at 10X Growth Con, it was amazing. He got up there and he said that at the time he was making $200 million a year in his business. And he like flies in and out on private jets. Like he's really successful, has a couple of hundreds of employees at the time, probably more than that now. And he said he didn't have some hideaway private toilet to go to. He just went to the regular where the VIPs were. So it was like a lot of people going there. And so many people went to the toilet and left in the men's toilets. There's like hand towels and you know, the bins can overflow or they can miss the bin or anything like that. And people come in and tread on it. Like this guy is in a $200 million business and he's the guy that walked in and picked it up off the ground. He took responsibility for it. He's like, all you guys think you're too good to do that? You know, like it really lit me up because I'm not saying I pack shelves every day at my supermarket. I found a way to move on from that. Although I wasn't frightened to clean the toilet. I wasn't frightened to go and mow the lawns. I wasn't frightened to get stuff done that needed to be done. And that, I think that's what just shows why he's so successful and why I had my success. And because I was willing to lead from the front, not just sit on my pedestal like you were mentioning before that so many people do and just bark orders, you know. Like there is a time for that. I'm sure he does it, but like you also got to show massive responsibility for everything in your company. Like, and like you said, just like you did for your clients, you wouldn't get them to ask them to do anything you wouldn't do. Like, and you know, it was method to my madness. People didn't like cleaning the toilets very well. But if I got in there and did an amazing job, then I had the right to expect that from them. So I think that just helps you get the leg up. So it's just just amazing. But I'm curious, like, you probably, I'm sure some of the listeners are thinking, well, I'm not cut out for leadership. Not everyone's, it's all right for you guys. I'm not cut out for that stuff. And like, well, that's what I loved about your 4 levels so much, because, you know, even if you aren't leading a team of 65 or hundreds, or, you know, in your case, you've got like massive amounts in your business that you lead every day. And I'm loving seeing how many people you're leading every morning. It's crazy to see that Zoom shot that I keep seeing. It's amazing. But, you know, they can all lead themselves, can't they? They don't, like, there's going to be a day where you're not going to be on that Zoom call. And we're saying this before, like what we do with our clients, we don't want them to depend on us as their leader or for their motivation or anything like that. We want to train them how to be like inspired to solve their problems themselves, like really lead themselves. So like gets back to like leading yourself. What do you think? There's people out there that just believe they're not cut out for leadership, so they don't even try.
Absolutely, mate. And you've touched on so many awesome points. And I just want to go back to the toilet thing, because come on, guys, we need to pull our heads in. Like, seriously, the amount of public toilets that I go to, that there's paper and toilet paper everywhere and sanitary things. And I'm just like, if you don't do that in your own house, why do it in a public toilet? And I'm like, Anthony, I'm the one that's picking it up. And it doesn't really bother me, but it bothers me that people are just so ingenuine and so disgusting. And, you know, if it's not you, someone else has to come along and clean that up. So can we just have a bit more decency? And if you drop some paper on the floor in the toilet, can you pick it up and pop it in the bin? It's not that hard. And even Tom said to me once, you know, when we were walking past some rubbish, he's like, if you walk past rubbish, then you're just as bad as the person that threw it there. You've got the opportunity to pick that rubbish up off the street and put it in the next available bin. So why aren't we doing it? Now, our kids have seen us do that, so now they do that. You know, if there's rubbish flying around or there's rubbish, like, they will pick it up and they'll wait for a bin to come along and they'll go and put it in there. So I think you definitely have to start leading by example. And if your team don't see you doing what you're asking them to do, then they're not going to do what it is that you ask, okay? You have to be the example. So let's say that you're giving 100%. Your team will never give 100% to match where you are, but they might give 80%. But if you're out there and you're telling them to do something, and then they find that you're actually going against, or you've dropped the standard, or you're not actually, doing what they're asking, then that's going to lower the whole standard of the team. And that you've just set a new lower standard of leadership and a lower standard of, of work ethic and everything. So, like, how you show up, and, you know, something that I really think is true as well is people often say, like, I'll never get that promotion because no one knows who I am, or people aren't noticing the job that I do. Like, no one ever notices all the little things that I do at work, you know. You know what, guys? If that's you, then go and be noticed. You know, go and ask the person that is your supervisor or your manager or your leader, what else can you do? How can you help? And no matter what they say, whether it's go get a coffee or go get some stuff out of the back of my car or whatever, you just go and do it. You go and do it, and you don't feel degraded about it, because you're helping out. And most of the time, they're probably just testing you anyway to see whether you're going to do it or not. And they're trying to see what kind of leader you're going to be. Now, I used to work for a board of directors, and there were some weird requests come through from these board of directors, like special teas that they wanted, you know, and it's nearly as bad as that rock star that wants just blue M&Ms. So you have to pick out all the blue M&Ms. But I did it. They wanted these things, and I made sure that their expectations and their desires were met. You know, and I didn't go on about it. I didn't harp on about it. I just got the job done, you know, and I think that's about showing up. That's leading yourself, being the example, leading your teams. And, when you do that, you're going to build more trust, more authenticity. You're going to be more approachable. People are going to go, wow, Kristine's someone that stays true to her word. You know, when teams see you in the trenches and they're not putting you on a pedestal, that's what you want. As soon as they start putting you on a pedestal, you're doing it wrong, because that's putting them in a pit. You want to show people that it's a level playing field. You know, they can be where you are. You know, it's not that difficult. It's just about maintaining a certain level of standard for yourself first, and then implementing a level of standard for the group that you're leading, the community, and then how you're showing up in the world as an influencer. You know, and I think that's what it comes down to. But most of you out there, and I've done this in the past as well. I've said I'm going to do something, and then in a couple of weeks I've stopped doing it. I've stopped being the example. I've stopped leading myself. You know, life gets in the way, or this happens, or now the goalposts have changed, or whatever. But stop talking the talk and not walking the walk. You know, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Speed of implementation. Don't wait a day, 2 days, 5 days, a week, months, a year. Just get it done. If you say you're going to do something, implement the steps to get it done and show people. If you're a leader, show people what's going on in the background. Show them what work you're doing in the background so they can see, so that it makes them want to raise their standards as well. You know, and let people know that, you know, that quote that Joel said in the beginning from Scott DeMullen, amazing. You know, you've got to go and be able to raise up other people. That's true leadership, is you handing over the mic, you know, you handing over your skills, your expertise, so you're not needed anymore. You know, in one of our health and wellness businesses, that's the greatest thing that you can give people, is their independence. You know, so you're not needed anymore. In our coaching business, we don't want people to need us all the time in our coaching business. We want to make sure that they become self-sufficient, that they're the go-getters out there, the people that are creating the change and the lifestyle that they want, and making the impact in the world, making it a better place, you know, but leading themselves first. You know, people come to us all the time. We were talking about this off air before, Joel. People come to us and say, I just need some motivation. I just need someone to hold me accountable and motivate me. Come on, guys. Do you think Joel and I are sitting there every morning thinking, oh, I wish I had someone to motivate me? No, we get the fuck out of bed and we do what we say we're going to do. We are self-motivated. No one is going to motivate you. You have to do it yourself. Okay? So stop living as if you're waiting for this magic thing to come and save you, or someone to ride on a white horse, or to win the lotto, or inheritance, or whatever you want. Whatever you're waiting for, stop friggin' waiting and go and create the change that you want to create. You know, it sounds so simple, and I know it's hard to motivate yourself because we've been there. But when you have a why that pulls you towards your goals every single day, it's so much easier to find that self-motivation. And Joel and I have a cause that we're working on that is bigger than us. And that's what lights us up every day. That's why we started our coaching business, because we've got a passion project that is going to impact the masses. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why you find us rocking up, being the example, you know, and walking our talk. Sorry, Joel, I got a bit fired up.
No, it's amazing. Like, it's so true, you know, and one of the things that I've done to really, you know, you get all these strategies that are at times fluffy, they're effective for some people and they're fluffy for other people, you know, and one of the things that I was suggested to me was like, you know, get in the mirror every morning and, you know, do mirror work. There's all different kinds, like really realize who you are and learn to love yourself more and everything like that. And I found that was great and all. What I found has worked for me was to look in the mirror, see reality, and apologize to myself for not keeping the promises that I kept. Like, I should be wealthier. I should be fitter. I should be all these things. And I sound like I'm shooting on myself, but it's really just for effect. I'm not holding a grudge against myself. I'm literally just looking myself in the eye and telling myself the bloody truth. Because I'm here to influence people to better their lives. And if I'm not doing the same, then I don't deserve clients. You know, so I've got to really realize that, you know what, there's a lot on the line in my life. I've got 3 kids, plus people that follow me on social media, people that are clients of mine that like are looking to me to be an example, not a bloody warning. And you're either or. You're not, if you're not an example, you're a bloody warning. And do you really want to be a warning to your kids? You know what I mean? I see my son's influenced in a negative way. It's actually positive, but he sees it as a negative by behavior that even I used to do. He doesn't remember it so much, but he sees behavior now where people like drink too much. And he's like, I never want to do that. I never want to be that big idiot. And I sort of like swore a little bit. I'm like, because there were times where I was that bigger idiot. And maybe he's like latched onto that and gone, wow, I don't want to be like that. So like that was an example of being a warning. Like, but like I don't drink at all anymore. Like I just don't do it. And it's not I don't know, it's not some reason. I just decided that my goals were more important. And I didn't want to have downtime wasting at drinking. So like I'm not shitting on people that drink. If you do, fine. But for me, my goals are more important than, you know, I can relax in better ways than that for me. So that's an example. So now he's turned the corner and like, I want my kids to be the same. So try looking in the mirror and being honest instead of just all the fluffy, pseudo stuff that you hear. Like maybe if that's not working for you, give it a go. And don't you dare shit all over yourself. That's not what this is about. This is not about you making yourself feel bad. This is you just going, right, I'm honestly telling the truth where I'm at. Because then you can do something about it. You can take responsibility and you can lead yourself out of it. If you're just saying, I'm like, oh, everything's so good. Like if I was sitting around saying, oh, you know, that 5 or 10 kilos I need to lose. Oh, that's okay. I got to love my body. Like, yes, love your body and realize there's room for improvement. And should it be on my body right now? No. Because there's a thing at the start of the year called like New Year's resolutions that I don't partake in, and I haven't kept my promise. And that's not freaking good enough, and I'm not tolerating it. So there's something that you guys can use. Now, kids do not need motivation. They do not need, sometimes my kids need demotivation. You know, I sometimes wish they might just calm down for 5 minutes, kids. But, you know, but what you do is as you get older and, you know, usually around the teenage years, and then definitely once you get around the workforce of the masses where they're all complaining about their lives, complaining about their jobs, you get something called learned hopelessness and learned helplessness. And that is a killer of dreams. And why the biggest thing I've ever done to be a leader is to have the guts to move myself away from that kind of BS and to get away from it. So, you know, like you don't have to lose what you had as a kid. You were energetic as a kid. Most of us had really great health, and through a series of choices and things that have happened, we've either lost that or we've listened to the masses, we've listened to the programming, and that just needs to get put in the bin because you are able to turn it around. I watched so many things about health recently where people, I think it was some ex-wrestlers have got really, you know, because they're buff and everything like that, and they're pretty hard on their bodies, and some of them have got to the point where they've like had massive downturns, and by changing their diet, their mindset, everything like that, they've actually come back and at 60 and 65 become fitter than they were in their 50s. Now that sounds good. Now, they did not do that by just blaming other people. They did that by taking responsibility and being a bloody leader and stepping up. And now, what if I found it on YouTube? How many people are they inspiring now? That's freaking leadership. Drop the mic, Kristine.
Drop that mic, buddy. Yeah, totally. And oh my goodness, like so many gold nuggets in that. I was taking notes, and you know, you don't have to be in business or even be employed to take on these strategies that we're talking about today, because you might be a mum or a dad that is at home raising the most amazing family, and that's leadership, you know, and that has a lot of value to it in shaping the generations to follow. It's one of my passions that I talk about all the time. And I just want you to know, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a school teacher, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a CEO, like, you guys are valuable in what you provide in your workplace every single day. And I don't want you to feel that, you know, maybe that because you haven't earned a 6-figure income, or, you know, you're not out there living your best life or dreams just yet. That's okay. Like, you're still adding value to the community. But what we want you to do and get from this podcast is that you need to start showing up differently for yourself. You know, you are the gift. You are. You guys can provide things to this community, to this world, to this planet that Joel and I cannot provide. And that's what I love about people, is that we are all so unique. Yes, some of us are messed up. I think we're all messed up, actually. We're all bipolar. We've got lots of personalities and everything. But you guys are the gift. And if you want to be the best bloody plumber in the world, go and do that. You can actually earn a really good income, because that's a profession that nobody wants to do. You know, I'm not getting in the trenches in that one. So whatever it is, whatever area you're in, even if you don't love your job right now, start to get noticed. Start putting yourself forward. Well, how else can I help? You know, how else can I be of assistance? You know, and stop looking for the accolades all the time. Sometimes you just got to get in the trenches, and opportunities will open up when you do. When you start being the example. You know, Joel talks about his experience at the garbage tip where he used to work. You know, and the boys used to say to him, Joel, can you slow down a bit, because then the employees are going to expect us to do the same level of work that you're doing. And that's just Joel's work ethic, you know. So how are you showing up? You know, that's a big compliment for someone to come and say, hey, hang on a second, can you slow down? You're actually working too hard. Or have you seen when husbands do all these amazing things for their wives, and then the other husband's like, whoa, buddy, hey, don't do too much. You're making the rest of us look bad. No, raise your friggin' standards, boys. Come on. And us women can do the same, you know. And I've been caught out for this, where I'm just so bloody goal-oriented that my relationship gets put on the back burner sometimes, you know. But we need to start walking the talk. And I think that's the main thing. And it's all about raising other people as well. And as a leader, you need to really get good at being people's cheerleader. You need to get really good at raising other people up and helping instill the belief in them before they can see it in themselves. Yeah, hold the torch until they're ready to hold it themselves. You know, some other important functions of a leader, we spoke about vision. Like, what vision are you casting out there for your team, for your family? You don't even have a job or a business or whatever. What vision are you creating for your family? The vision that I create in our household is to live a medication-free life, to live a pain-free life, free from dis-ease, discomfort, depression. You know, we don't have chemicals and things in our house. You know, I'm trying to set my family up for the best quality of life that I can. That's the message that I send to them every day. And I get disappointed when we make disempowering decisions, you know, and I say to my kids, was that an empowering decision, choosing that, or a disempowering decision? And they know it's disempowering, Mum. Okay, well, as long as you know and you're aware of that, but we can't control everything that they eat either, you know. But if we can bookend the days with a really nutritious start and a really nutritious end, and then what happens in the middle doesn't tend to matter so much, you know. Stop trying to control everything all the time. Organization, initiating action, coordination, direction, and inspiration. Like, these are all important functions of a leader. You know, being able to be relatable, approachable, being able to, you know, inspire the masses. Like, it's so hard to motivate people, but you can inspire people to change. You can inspire people to want to raise their standards, to vibrate higher, simply by the way that you show up every day. Now, I used to have a real shit job that I went to, and it was so negative, but I would choose what state I walked into that office every day. And I thought, you know what? Let's just be extra positive today. And it's the same when I get crappy service. When people are vibrating so low on the other side of the checkout, I'm that annoying customer that will go over and above, over the top, to try and get you to smile or to laugh or to just look up and make eye contact. Yeah. We have opportunities all around us to make someone feel special, to make someone's day. And that's leadership. Getting to know people, taking time out of your busy schedule of life, doing mundane stuff that probably doesn't matter that much, and start to connect with people on a deeper level. You know, that's leadership. You know, listen. We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So often we're doing too much of the talking and not enough of the listening, like really listening to people. That's leadership, guys. You might have people in your downline, in your subordinates, in your people that are just starting, that have amazing ideas that could totally turn around your organization, your business, you know, but people are not getting down. Leaders aren't getting down in the trenches to find these people, to find what works best. We see it all the time, you know, in these big organizations where the CEO is being poached from totally somewhere else, and he's come in and he's used the leadership that's worked over there, come into a new organization, hasn't got to know the workers that have been there for 30, 40 years that have awesome ideas. And then all of a sudden the culture has changed and they're up shit creek. So you know what I mean? So it's about leading from the front, getting in the trenches, having a great work ethic, sticking to your guns. As soon as you break a promise to yourself, as Joel said, don't beat yourself up, get back in there. And, you know, it is about doing that mirror work. But once you get to that level of vibration that you're at, that level of leadership where you're like, shit, yeah, I've got this, I'm leading myself now, that's when you can then go out and start leading the masses. So I have no idea what I just said, Joel.
It was great and so true. And like some of the things that you brought up, like some of those dot points about, you know, influence and, you know, accountability and all the things that you're saying just then, people might be thinking, well, I'm not that. And like, just take that statement out of your mind and put it in the bin and ask better questions like, how can I have more influence? How can I have more accountability? How can I, you know, have, you know, more, be a better leader? How can I have more influence? And, you know, because like imagine a world if we're all out there influencing people for the better, you know. So you want strategies on how to be a leader, you know, then be the best. If you're a McDonald's worker, don't trash that you got a McDonald's working job. Be the best McDonald's worker on the planet. Because if you aren't doing the best and your best to be the best in the world, then you're doing the wrong thing. You're already doing the wrong thing. So you might as well go and be your best, because you think that you're going to not do your best and just fly under the radar at your job now, and then magically when you open your business or you go get your dream job, you're going to mystically have a habit of doing your best there too? No, you won't. You will go back to old habits and then you'll get fired or your business will implode. So start now. Wherever you're at right now today, make a promise to yourself that you're going to do your best and have fun. The other thing is, like, you want to be a leader. Leaders do go against the norm. So why don't you start with being kind? That's leadership. You know, be caring to people. You know, what happens if you just helped that old lady get her groceries in the car, you know, instead of watching her struggle, or help that mum put her groceries in the car when she's pushing a pram with a kid and a trolley and all that. Why, you know, people are just so in their own tunnel and so frightened of saying to anyone. And like, I'm not an extroverted person, and, you know, but that's got nothing to do with being a good person. You know, turn Netflix off. Go against the grain. Like, when you say no to the information you're getting from the masses. Like, don't believe it. That's all leadership. You know, getting up, saying no to drinking on a Friday when all your friends are out at a barbecue getting drunk, or, you know, be that vegan if you feel that's what you need to do, or change your diet, or, you know, go to that networking event. You know, that's leadership. It doesn't mean you got to join, doesn't mean you got to do anything like that. So, and, you know, when you get a low vibe person come your way, leadership is just giving them back a higher frequency without having to say a damn word to them. You don't need to call them out on their shit. You don't need to do anything. You just need to give back high vibe, because let's be honest, you don't know what sort of day they had. Their dog could have died. They could be in a low vibe because you are just the straw that broke the camel's back. So just do that. And to be a leader, you must influence with your ears. And that's another thing from Scott DeMillen. He teaches you to influence with your ears from the stage, influence with your ears. Like, so if you put these actions in and you just start with one thing, we're not saying, hey, today you got to be not a leader and feeling like you're in neg for it land, or, you know, all these things. I can't believe, because this podcast has been so amazing and they've given us so much information, but it's a lot of work, and it is. The time's going to pass anyway. So if you are feeling like you're not a leader and all of a sudden you think you've got to be the head of the UN tomorrow, That's not true. You do not need to be the CEO of Microsoft tomorrow. But I wonder what you could do in 10 years of just practicing these things and adding a little bit every day to your repertoire, and, you know, and moving forward step by step. Because you know what? I'm looking back now at some of these Facebook memories I'm getting, Kristine, where I am where some of my clients are now, and just go, and I can share my story. I'm like, wow, I've come a long way, because I did have this big dip in the middle. And, you know, and I'm thinking, imagine if I didn't start then. Imagine if I believed all my excuses. Imagine if I didn't take that step when everyone thought I was crazy. Now I'd still be here now, except I wouldn't have the results. So just freaking start now. And you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just start with one bite at a time. That's it.
I love that, mate. And I want to share a story of one of my dearest friends. She's got an awesome name. Her name is Kristine as well. So no wonder we get along. She was my neighbor. And when I first met her, she was Uber driving. Now, Chris is in her 60s. She's just released her first book. Her name's Chris Vital, if you want to look her up. The book is called The Power of Women in Our 60s. And she is a true leader of the modern era. Like, seriously, this woman is amazing. She calls herself the happiest twice divorced 60-something-year-old on the planet. And she is leading by example. She is rallying these women in their 60s and letting them know life is just beginning. This is not a time to wind down. This is a time to rally, ladies, and reinvent yourself, and, you know, start doing some of the stuff that you've put off. Or, you know, if maybe you didn't, you know, maybe you're finding yourself divorced, or maybe you're finding yourself not skilled enough. Like, she goes into detail on opportunities that are available to women in their 60s, where you can create extra income, or you can be really creative, or you can volunteer, or she's created this meetup group, and it started with, you know, a handful of people. She now has 500 women in that over 60s group, and they are thriving. And some of them, their stories are shared in her book as well. And I really wanted to give her a plug today, Joel, because her level of leadership, the way that she leads herself first. I watch this woman, being her neighbor, go down to the beach every morning, go and clear her head, ground herself. The way that she has little rituals. She loves a cup of tea. She set her home up beautifully. It's got like sort of a Bali influence. She hangs around an incredible peer group. Then after the Uber driving, now she is she's one of the mums. I don't know what you call them, like you know, boarding schools. She's the mum that looks after all the girls in the dorm, and she loves that job. And now she gets to influence the community through that job and through her meetup group. And she's just got this new lease on life. She's also got her own website of sarong dresses that she sells now. And this lady is in her 60s. She's got 2 kids that live in different countries. So 3 of them are in different countries. Her mum is well into her, pretty sure she's well into her 80s and thriving, and is just as fit and vibrant as Chris is as well. But what I love about the example that this lady is setting is that you don't have to be a sheeple. You don't have, it's not many people I come across in their 60s that are living medication free, that look fit and healthy. And I've got to say, Chris does not look like she's in her 60s at all. She looks like she's in her late 40s, early 50s, and she is vibrant and energetic. And yes, she has like a little 10-20 minute power nap in the middle of the day, but that just reignites, reinvigorates her to take on the girls that she has to put up with, all these teenage girls. But she loves the influence and the impact that she gets to make on those girls. And I love that, you know, in the role that Joel and I play, we come across these beautiful characters out there in the everyday world, the real heroes of our lifetime, you know, that are making these amazing influences and impacts on people at the ground level. You know, she's not like a billionaire. I don't know, maybe she is. But, you know, I just look at Chris and I think, wow, like, I aspire to be like her when I'm her age, you know, influencing people, turning these women who are depressed and lost and, you know, not that healthy. All of a sudden they come into her presence, into her group, and they come back a couple of weeks later and they're transformed. You know, she's teaching them, like, put a bit of red lippy on, you know, wear a different hat, wear a fascinator, get a different hairdo, like, Just do something, because life is just beginning. It begins anytime you decide. So what we're trying to get to you guys today is just decide. Decide that you're going to be your absolute best version. Don't wait for anybody else. Don't wait for your husband to come on board with your new eating regime or your new fitness regime, or whatever you want to do. Like, go on a holiday without them. I was speaking to one of my friends the other day, and she's got, I think, 1 or 2 years left to retirement or something, and her and her husband go on trips away, and she's so active and he's not, that he loves just going on to do his thing, and she goes off paddleboarding and travels around and they have the most amazing holiday together, but they go and do the things that interest them separately. Yeah, so stop waiting for other people. You need to be the change you want to see in your world, in your lifestyle, in your household, okay? And when you do that, it will vibrate out and others will rise with you because you're leading from the front. So I don't know, Joel, is there anything else we can add in here? We've given a lot of value today. Like, seriously, if this is not one of your favorite podcasts, I don't know, like, we've given lots of energy.
This was like amazing. It really was. I loved, like, I took lots of notes from you as well. It just gets you thinking. So just, yeah, all I can say is to finish, by you stepping out and choosing how you want to live your life, no matter what that is. Like, I know we speak about business a lot. We speak a lot about health. It's transferable across your entire life. How you bring your kids up, how you speak with your family, how you deal with your life when you're in your 60s, how you deal with it when you're in your 20s or your teens. Like, it's universal, and that's what I love about it so much. But when you decide to step up and choose and actually have the courage to go forward and do it yourself, you actually inadvertently give other people permission to do the same. So get your ass out there and give people permission to live their life in a masterpiece way. That's it.
Done.
Same day.
Let's drop the mic.
We're out.
Damn.